Good morning. My name is Shanthi Kumar V. I have posted some videos on my channel, on YouTube channel, and this is another video which is related for preparation of the ISTQB Foundation exam and how to prepare by chapter. In this video, we are going to see on how to prepare through the chapter testing throughout the software life cycle and what all you should know to prepare for the chapter for ISTQB Foundation exam. I'm going to walk through with you. So according to these guidelines, if you prepare it, obviously from the chapter there are specific number of questions given in the syllabus, and you will be able to catch up the total questions. Now if you see the foundation level syllabus, you have testing throughout the software life cycle has got 4 topics, subtopics. I mean software development models, test levels, test types, maintenance testing. So if you have attended the course, this is going to be a repetition for your preparation purpose or planning for your preparation. And all these 4 chapters, what all the related contents need to be prepared, I'm going to cover here in this video. I also teach ISTQB coaching for different exams and foundation, advanced test analyst and technical test analyst and test manager also. So if any of your friends are interested, you can contact to these contacts. First, you should know the development model to use the project and product characteristics. If you see here in the syllabus, software development models are there, and from that topic it is pulled it here. And you should understand the relationship between development and testing within a development life cycle, which includes testing activities and test work products. Let us say if you are taking a V model, in V model you have one line belongs to the software development life cycle, another line belongs to test life cycle. So all these activities you should be aware of that. And in the development life cycle, it starts with software requirement specifications, and it will go up to coding level through design and coding and unit testing. And from there, testing life cycle will start the execution, integration testing, system testing, and UAT. But when it starts with the SRS, in parallel to that, the testing early test design concept need to be implemented it as per the syllabus contents mentioned by the ISTQB Foundation exam contents. And you should know the typical levels of testing. So if you take a model, one model like V model, you have all these test types like unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and UAT. And you should be able to recollect the reasons for different levels of testing. It doesn't mean all levels of testing has the same scenarios or same kind of test execution. It varies from one phase to another phase. If unit testing is there, developer will do the unit testing for his code only, for his modules or modules only. And if it is integration tester, then he will integrate the modules, and on modules integration testing will be performed it. And if it is a system testing, the system tester will consider particular functionalities. The functionalities might contain group of modules which are integrated from integration testing, and those modules will have performance in the back end for a particular function. So all those things varies from one level to another level. So you should be able to compare the different levels of testing with respect to their major objectives, typical objects of testing, typical targets of testing. So you have to define all these during the test planning stage. Assuming you have defined them, and you are supposed to consider each level of the testing, then you will be able to catch up for those things. Now if you see another one, sixth one, you should know who all need to perform the testing activities at various test levels. Like you have unit tester, integration tester, system tester, and users for UAT purpose. All the test levels will have different roles, different people will be acting to perform these testing activities. You should know the types of different defects found and failures to be identified. Let us say during test levels you will find different categories of defects, and technical defects will be there, functional defects will be there, and you should know sometimes the root causes also. So the types of defects found and failures to be identified during that levels. And if you see eighth number point, from ISTP glossary terms, you should know the glossary terms like alpha testing, beta testing, component testing, driver, functional requirements, integration testing, and integration also. Like integration is components integration by developers. It will be done in the environment, and the tester will perform the integration testing. Non-functional testing, which can be a performance testing, it can be load testing, it can be some other technical testing to test particular component integration. And operational testing, like how you are going to operate the product operation for particular user purpose. Then regulation acceptance testing, like you have particular compliances, maybe regulatory authorities, or if you take it if you take a telecom regulatory authority, it will dictate some kind of policies and procedures. So those policies and procedures need to be implemented in that telecom application. So in that situation you need to test that compliance testing also. Robust testing, how it is performing it, what is the levels of the performing declared during the design, and is it performing as per that performance related things need to be identified. Similarly for load testing also can be included it. And steps you are using it during integration testing if other modules are not ready to keep receiving the data items. So such kind of things need to be verified also. And system testing, when it comes for the system testing, you know system tester how he plans it. Massively will plan for the scenarios testing to verify the functionalities mentioned in the SRS, software requirements specifications. All those will be verified. And test driven development. So test driven development is if you are identifying particular tests either through integration testing or system testing, that particular test scenarios will be considered it through that only. It will be identified it. And in the integration testing and unit testing, the developers write the requirements according to the test plan. Initially they plan the test and after that they'll plan the requirement what should be done. You take a ATM machine, like you have card insertion. Once the card is inserted, card need to be verified from the card database. The developer is going to write a module for that. Once how to test that ATM is identified it under test driven development concept. And next one is test environment and user acceptance testing. Test environment is like environments wise also you can plan for testing how it works on particular environments. If you have a Oracle different versions, on different versions how it works. If you have operating systems like Linux, Unix, then Windows, Mac, that kind of things also can be considered. It depends on the test environments. And user acceptance testing also can be considered it. As we discussed it, users will have business scenarios, and those business scenarios can be planned for UAT and for accepting the product for live environments. So these are the terminologies. It is given in the glossary in the ISTQB site itself. You can look into them and keep learning them for writing your exam. We'll see next slide. You should know the four major types of test: functional, non-functional, structural, and change related. Like you have functional scenarios, like functionality wise, and non-functional I have discussed in the previous slide. Structural is like you have a particular program and you need to test that particular program through unit testing, sometimes through integration testing also. That program will have different paths. So program structure also can be identified it through that. Also it can be planned structural testing, and also program structure can be exercised with different data items, so to break that particular code. And change related, like you are changing something within that module, and that changes need to be tested it, which also can come for like here, if you take a particular defect, fixed it. Defect fixes also can come under this area, like only that defect related functionality need to be tested it. There is no regression testing involved in this area. Regression testing is different, and it need to be planned separately also. You should be able to provide some concrete examples for each of these. So like there in the exam you might see some scenarios they will give it to confuse you with multiple choices with relevant and irrelevant answers in the exam. Those you need to be aware of that. You should understand the functional and structural tests occur at any test level and be able to explain how they are applied in various test levels. Like we have discussed about the test levels in the previous slide. The same way structural testing also, you have planned it for technical testing purpose, and how they are applied it, some approach need to be defined it during test planning itself, and some strategy also need to be identified it, and it should be documented, and those need to be recollected it, and it should be applied during test execution. Such kind of things you should be aware of that. And next point, if you see, you should be able to identify and describe non-functional test types based on non-functional requirements and product quality characteristics. Let us say if you are taking one e-commerce site, that e-commerce site might get more users during festival seasons, and that time the load, accessibility and performance, like users response, giving fast response in microseconds, milliseconds or seconds itself, that kind of technical specifications were defined during the design time itself, and those non-functional testing need to be identified in each test types and test levels also, and the product quality characteristics also works under that category. So those all need to be identified it. And finally you should be able to explain the purpose of confirmation testing or retesting and regression testing in the context of change related testing. As I discussed with you in this point, change related testing comes when you are fixing a defect or introducing new change. Such kind of things can happen it. Let us say in the e-commerce side there is a bug fixing need to happen it while payment gateway is functioning it is not going through. So there is a bug, so that need to be retested it. And that area, if you want to test it, you need to create one order under shopping cart, and that area comes under regression testing. And these context of change related testing also need to be planned it, and the purpose you need to explain it, why it is required it at that point of time. And finally, 12th point, if you see, finally you should be able to explain the purpose of confirmation testing and regression testing in the context of change related testing. Sorry, this is the same point, it is repeated here. And if you see here, there are another set of terminologies related to testing, it is available here. We will see each of them. Now let us see the terminologies which is given in these boxes. Black box testing, that will come under different topics, but still black box testing is the test analyst or tester will do by taking the specifications without knowing the technical specifications. Only functional specifications you will come to know that. And code coverage will happen it during the developer activities during development itself. And confirmation testing, as I discussed with you, that is their terminology. And functional testing I have discussed with you. And interoperability testing, like from one platform to another platform, if you are implementing the e-commerce sites, then that interoperability testing need to be performed it by setting up the test labs separately. Load testing I have discussed with you. If different users are coming during festival seasons, heavy load is coming, that need to be tested whether the system can perform during that festival seasons time. And maintainability testing, let us say you have some old application and that application need to be maintained, means technically it should maintain it, functionally it should be testable. Technical, how it should maintain it, the code need to be flexible for immediate fixes. One is that technical area. Another thing is to test the system, it should be user friendly and it should be accessible at any time, and flexibility should be there in the application also. So such kind of things can come in under this. And performance testing, performance I have discussed with you. Portability testing also I have discussed, porting the applications to different versions of the database, or it can be different platforms also, operating systems also. And regression testing I have discussed it. And reliability testing, like system reliability, how far you can rely on the application, that need to be tested. On and off you need to test it and identify where it can be testable on different timings, weekends, weekdays, without having a specific timings to perform by the system. So at any time it should be available for business usage purpose. So business continuity purpose, under business continuity planning, BCP planning, it need to be conducted it. Security testing, like application security, how it works, whether anybody can access it, any hackers can do that. Such kind of security testing need to be applied it. And specification based testing, you have different specifications at requirement stage, design stage, and all those need to be considered it under specifications, and those specifications need to be tested under integration phase, system test phase, and UAT level phase also. Stress testing, let us say you have defined database connectivity for 100 users. More stress can be given there to test the connections also, and memory size also can be tested it to test the cache memory. Another thing is hard disk size also can be tested it. Some other areas also depends on the application servers architectures defined it, and those also can be planned to test it by giving more stress to that particular components. Structural testing, I have discussed with you about this. Test suite, test suites are like you have different scenarios functionally speaking, and different scenarios can be made one test suite. Let us say I have discussed one example, e-commerce site, bug fix happened due to payment gateway is not working. And then what happens, you are supposed to log in into that, then later on after that you are supposed to create one order by pulling the products into the shopping cart. Then after creating the order, shipment need to be verified it. These are the different scenarios where combining together under one test suite for e-commerce site testing purpose. So that kind of things need to be considered it. And usability testing. So when users are using these particular applications, it should be usable by the users at any time, and usability, how it is flexible, how user friendly the systems are designed it, that need to be tested under this concept. And white box testing, white box testing is coming under technical areas, like the code, some partial code or full code, and you are supposed to exercise that particular paths. And if you are planning by knowing all that technical specifications with code specifications, basically if you are considering some test cases or scenarios, that comes under white box testing. And basically these are being done by the integration testers and unit testers most of the times, and or there can be separate white box testing teams also in the organizations. It all depends on the organization setup, how it is going to be executed. These are the terminologies apart from the previous terminologies what I discussed in this point. And next one is you should be able to compare maintenance testing to testing of new applications. When you are, let us say you have your company or some vendor, product vendor deployed a new e-commerce site, that is a new application basically for them. So there can be many e-commerce sites, but for that company they designed a new application. When you are doing that new application testing, you are supposed to see the maintenance testing, whether it can be done in future easily to maintain the application. When fixes happens, it enhances happens, it changes happens, it suddenly 11th hour request comes for testing teams to perform the activities to certify the products. In such cases, these things are very important to know whether maintenance testing can be applicable for these things, easily it can be done. Such kind of things need to be identified. One moment. You should be able to identify triggers and reasons for maintenance testing, like why it happened for maintenance testing, where all it can happen maintenance testing, where all immediate bug fixes cannot happen it, because if you want to test some scenarios, it can take days also, like dates happens, weekend reports. If you want to know that weekend dates need to be changed in the test environment in backend in database, or OS date need to be changed in that servers. Such kind of things need to be identified it, and modifications need to be identified it, and migration and retirement. Let us say, what is migration? Migration is you want to migrate to a new application, or you want to migrate to different operating systems, different databases. Such kind of things need to be identified it. And retirement, when it happens, if one application is legacy application, very old application, if flexibility is not there, maintenance testing cannot be done, or it cannot be maintainable, then they need to discard that application. That comes under retirement. So when it comes migration and retirement, migration is one new application is designed and developed and implemented it, and parallel testing need to be done it. Then once the parallel testing happens, if the new system is working as expected, then the old system need to be retired. So such kind of cases you have to apply these things. Finally, you should be able to describe the role of regression testing and impact analysis with maintenance testing. Let us say we discussed about regression testing. When you are doing regression testing, what are the impacts of the defect fixes, what are the impacts of the enhancers you need to identify, and impact analysis need to be considered for maintenance testing and regression testing also. And you should know the glossary terms, impact analysis and maintenance testing. That's all about this particular video for a simple demo class video. And if you are interested to attend any courses, you are most welcome to contact. You will gain the practical knowledge with different application examples and test scenarios, technically and functionally also. And the batches can be conducted as per your flexible timings. Globally, I am available for giving coaching. And thanks for watching this video. You have a great day and good luck in your career.